What's going on, YouTube? My name is Mr. Crippled, and today I'm going to be bringing you my Anhur build guide. If you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any tips and tricks, don't be afraid to leave them in the comment section. I am not afraid of any criticisms. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. Now, with Anhur, he is a purely physical DPS. If you look at his abilities, all of his abilities are going to scale with strength. So building a bunch of strength items is going to benefit him in the long run, considering that all of his abilities will scale with strength. And he is a true auto attack based ADC, so building a lot of attack speed, things that benefit his auto attacks are going to benefit you in the long run. There's two different builds I'm going to be bringing you today. One that is probably going to end up being the more meta build, or something that you're probably going to be building more regularly once this game fully comes out, or during the alpha. The other build, I don't think it's going to be as meta, considering crit is going to be nerfed pretty badly in Smite 2, considering that not a lot of the pen items, not a lot of the crit items has a lot of pen, and you just kind of lose out a lot of damage because of all the physical defense items against it. But I'm going to be providing you both anyway. So first things first, starting with the pen build. Now, the first card, especially now that there's no starters, is a little weird. I think the best starting card to build fully is into Atlanta's Bow. Being that it gives you a pretty decent amount of strength and a good amount of attack speed early. Plus, you'll lose the basic attack penalty as you're hitting auto, so this can be pretty invaluable in a lot of auto attack builds. So building into this first is a must. If and when you can't get to this immediately, go in the direction of the Manchu bow that gives you 10 strength and attack speed while also increasing your physical damage. This is a good little building path to go to if you happen to be behind and you need a little bit of a damage spike. So go into Manchu bow and then straight into Atlantis bow as your first card. Second is really dependent on where you want this build to go. I think that either Dagger of Frenzy is probably going to be the best second card you can get. It is a little bit more pricey than the other cards. So you could probably get this second or third depending, but Dagger of Frenzy is a must-have. Smite 2 incorporated actives, and this is probably the best active for auto attackers, giving you a whopping 60 basic attack damage and 30% attack speed. And on somebody on her whose passive is whenever you hit them, they lose physical protections, this is going to be really invaluable. So Dagger of Frenzy is a must-have in this build. Second or third is a little bit of a toss-up. If you purely want to go with the physical damage and you only want the bigger numbers to help you kill the squishies, I think Sunbeam Bow is really good to get. It doesn't give too much attack speed, but it gives a whopping 55 strength. So this card by itself is already going to hit hard. However, because there's so many cards, namely Leviathan's Hide, that reduces physical power, I think a good in-slot spot for it would be Broggy's Harp. Now, this is probably going to be the most expensive item you can get. However, it gives you 30 strength and 35 intelligence. The 35 intelligence is negligible because we don't really need it. It does give 20% attack speed, but the passive is where this card kind of takes you. Your basic attacks now do an additional 45 magical damage at level 20. At the beginning, it only gives you 7 plus 2 per level of your plus 2 damage per your level. So like at level 3, you'll do 11 more. You'll do 11 damage in magical damage, making it to where it's kind of harder to counter build against you. Plus, once this build does fully come online, you will be hitting harder with Broggy's Harp. Sunbeam Bow is the cheaper option if you have, if you're kind of scrounging for money or gold in the game. So either one of those options works in this spot. I personally would build Broggy's Harp. It is more expensive, but for a good reason. Next, you're gonna need your pen items against your tanks, your solo laners, your supports. So the next two items are must-haves: Executioner and Quinn's Blade. Executioner, if you played Smite 1, you know what it does. Every time you do damage, basic attack damage to a enemy god, you gain an additional 10% physical penetration. Now gives you 50% physical pen. So this card is way too valuable to have. And then pair that with Quinn size, where your basic attacks do 6% of their max HP as bonus damage. Tanks will be shredded with this card, so build these two. The last card that I recommend building is actually not going to give you any attack speed. It's going to give you physical pen. I think Serpent Spear is really good here. It doesn't give a lot of strength, but it does give a whopping 30% physical penetration, and this does proc with your basic attacks. So basically, no one's going to be able to defend against your autos. You don't have to get this as last item. You can get this at any other point. I just think these other 5 cards take priority to me. So Serpent Spear is a really good card to have. If they're trolling and they don't really have that many defensive items, you could go back and build Sunbeam Bow, give you that little bit of extra strength with more attack speed. You could slap on maybe like an additional pen item, maybe like Obsidian Shredder. So whenever you do hit your ult is going to shred more protections, and then it does give 45 strength on top of that. You can build into, let's say, even like maybe 1 crit card like Death Metal or Baneful Rapier. That way you don't have to keep up with 2 actives. That way you can just have the extra crit chance, and you have a chance to just hit way harder. For me personally, I think last slot should either be Serpent Spear or Sunbeam Bow. For me, Sunbeam Bow is Serpent Spear is probably gonna be the better item, but Sunbeam Bow is a really good item to have. And just a little showcase. This is the damage you're gonna be doing. Your autos themselves are gonna be doing 304. An additional 300 because of Quinn size and Executioner, plus the additional 45. So you'd be hitting for about 649 per auto. That's without your totem down. That's without stunning them or ult. So if you put your totem down, you'll be hitting a lot hard, damn near 700 or a little above 700 per auto. So this build extremely hurts tanks and will help you shred squishies. So I think this is gonna end up being the meta build. And it just pairs really well with his passive. See, the ult is still going to be doing plenty of damage. You have plenty of attack speed. So for those of you who can't hit autos, you have a million chances to hit them. And when you do hit them, they're going to hurt. So that's the pen build. If you want to go crit, again, I don't really recommend this. I think crit's not going to be that strong. But if you're like me, and you don't really care, plus it's the beta, you can do whatever you want, experiment with some things. This is kind of the start you want to go. First card being Death Metal. Death Metal is the crit card. I think Death Metal is probably better for magical ADCs, since magical ADCs will probably be relying on crit crazy enough. So Death Metal is a really good beginner card, plus the active is insane, giving you a crazy amount of strength, so 45 strength, and then about 60 intelligence with 20% attack speed for 6 seconds is kind of crazy. So it does stat pad you, giving you a bunch of extra power and attack speed, so this is a must-have. Next, I would recommend Baneful Rapier. Getting the additional attack speed, extra crit chance right off the gate is really good. After that, personally, I think Dagger of Frenzy would be really good here to kind of make up for that basic attack damage. But again, you want to kind of steer clear of 2 active cards if you're not used to something like that. So another good card to go here. Musashi's Dual Swords, giving you the extra movement speed whenever you crit chance, or Deathbringer if you want to go ahead and get the additional 25% crit chance. You will be building Deathbringer at some point in this build. If you want to get it early, you can. If you don't and you want to kind of be a little bit more price efficient, go Musashi's Dual Swords. Here is where it gets kind of tricky. For me personally, I think Executioner and Quinn's Blade are must-haves. No matter what build, you're gonna need these 2 cards to help you shred through those tanks. And then if you do manage to crit them, if they're not building Leviathan's Hide, then it's going to hit massively harder. And then finally, obviously, Deathbringer. This is probably gonna be your go-to crit build. And again, a little bit of a showcase. As you can see, you don't really have a lot of attack speed with this build, but when you do crit, you are hitting for about 494, 794 damage, and a little that's without this totem down. With it, you're hitting for about 892. But again, I don't think this build is going to be too crazy. I think you'll probably be better off going with the pen build, especially since you're already going to be hitting for 700 in auto, and then crit, and then attacking way faster on top of that. And for me, ADCs being able to throw out as many autos as possible, keeping people on their toes, and shredding down health as quickly as possible is more important than just a really big number. So either build works. I think Anhur is probably the only character who can get away with a crit build simply because of his pen passive. But again, if you like the builds and you like my content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I will be leaving a link to my Discord and my Twitch channel in the description below. Thank y'all for y'all time today, and y'all take care.